Welcome, everybody, to Looking Ahead, the Rhino Power Hour with Ryan Hughes. That's me.
So you were there, obviously, and I think you and I have had this conversation a while back about 250 and 450. And when they moved the division from two-stroke to four-stroke, and they made the 250 equivalent in four-stroke the 450, and they made the 125 two-stroke equivalent into the 250, do you think that was necessarily good for the sport?
Well, I think it was good for the sport because of progression, technology. Because again, we look at the 450s now, technology is like, whoa, the two strokes, it was done. Where are you going to go from there? And even MotoGP's gone away from it. The two-stroke only, that's it. Now, did it ruin the racing? Yes, it made the racing more boring because the four-stroke is ridden completely different, which allows a different style of racing. And now how good the bikes are now, it's a whole different thing. So I was there the first race when Doug Henry won. I got second at Vegas. And, he got the whole shot. I think I was like third, fourth. I got into second, started closing him down. But just the traction he had, and I was kind of the only person that could really hang with him because it was super, super, super hard packed blue groove. So it worked really good on that for that bike. But I grew up at Carlsbad Raceway. So blue groove, purple groove was like my condition. So I could ride really good in that. So, but he had an advantage in that four-stroke. As you know now, technology progressed it to where it is. Two strokes would have never progressed any farther. So, yeah, it needs to be that. But the racing side now is a little bit boring because you can make mistakes and still stay ahead. You can make mistakes and still jump that jump. And now the bikes are so good, it's not about really speed. It's about precision and riding that bike perfectly. If you ride that bike perfectly and use it the way is designed and tuned and all that, you don't have to ride as hard anymore. Look at the guys aren't riding as hard as they used to. Like even the Bubba and Ricky times, they were more way out of control because the bikes weren't as dialed. You look at the two strokes, man, we were like a bunch of puppy dogs fighting all over each other because we couldn't get away from each other because one guy would make a mistake, another guy would get a good line, another guy missed a shift, another guy cased it a little bit. You know what I mean? And so that's where I think racing is getting a little bit more F1-ish because of the technology and how you go about your riding. These top guys are riding very smooth and very calculated now to go fast and not just hammering it to go fast.
So do you think that was better for the sport back in the two-stroke times versus the four-stroke times?
The racing?
Yeah.
Yeah, go watch the 1990s Supercross. It's a completely different thing. Completely different thing.
Much more exciting race.
Way more exciting. Way more passing, way more block passing, way more ramming. Because, again, I could come into a corner when someone's doing 10 miles an hour and ram them. Yeah, it's a little bit hard to ram someone who's doing 30.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And we could make passes because we would make mistakes on the rhythm sections. The 450s and stuff like that, they can just give it another blip of the gas and they just jump right over it. So I think that's a little bit, is you had to be more precise back in the 90s with your, I guess, approach. You have to be very precise now because of the speeds, right? But it's like, okay, right, you don't really have to think about it much because the bike has so much. In our days, it was like, okay, I hope I can get over this.
Right? The obstacles were definitely more of a challenge.
Yeah, so there was more crashes, more mistakes. So that's what you're not seeing in Supercross. You're not seeing as many crashes or mistakes, so to speak, because the bikes can get over stuff. Now, the speeds is what caused it to be very dangerous now because it's only getting faster and faster and faster because the bikes' technologies are going faster, bigger, better and better, and that's where we got to start looking at this and putting a cap on stuff or we're not going to have any racing because the factory bikes are just so much better now that the standard bike, it's almost like, if this sport could really transform to have, unfortunately, six factories that we have, and everybody has two factory bikes, and that's field's the field.
Well, I talked to Derek.
Just like MotoGP, just like Formula One. You don't go there on the weekend and qualify.
No,
this is set in stone. It's done, right?
I talked to Derek Kelly about this when he was with Gas. He was saying that when you open up the cases of one of those factory KTMs
Yeah.
versus what they're riding, two completely different motorcycles.
Oh yeah, completely. Completely. When I first rode factory back in '96, I got on the 250 two-stroke, and I couldn't believe it. The vibration, what vibration? The torque, like the power, just like you hit a bump, this factory suspension, the harder you hit it, the better it works.
Yep.
I was blown away. So there's such an advantage, and now even more, but not like anybody could beat Jet. I'm just saying that you're starting to see so much more gaps now.
Yeah.
And so how do we bring that together? Because that's not making good racing where only two guys are battling. You know, we need to have the whole field. And again, that's what MotoGP is always trying to do. Okay, we got to bring this back together. Smaller engines, this and that, less fairing. Formula One's always thinking about battling and racing. Well, we got to think about the same, you know? Unfortunately, the system is only focused on money from what they're making, so they're not really focused on the racing, right? We need to make sure the racing is still good too. So if we have to maybe cut down on power or cut down on technology of the factories, you know, again, they only get 3 days a week to test. Hey, this is what Formula One does. This is what MotoGP does. You know what I mean? If you want it, you got to start doing these things to maybe stop, to bring the racing together a little bit more. Or you do it like MotoGP and Formula One, where you have 6 teams, 2 riders on each, and that fills the field. There's 24 riders, done. That's all you get. Nobody qualifies. You know, we have to have another series for everybody else, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at, because, you know, because what really, I don't know. I mean, you know, what's somebody really going to get out of the sport except, you know, the feeling, the experience, all that, if you're going 30th in nationals. You know what I'm saying? I get you made a national into this and this and the drive and the work ethic and that. I understand all that. But now when you put those boots up and this and that, what is it really for? You know what I mean? Is anybody really looking at 30th? And again, I'm not being a dick. I race this stuff. So yeah. I'm just trying to, I'm looking forward. What, how do we, is there a way? Is there something that this guy's not even getting recognized? He's making $300.